Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. Can we guess who wrote that poem? Rumi. Translation by Coleman Barks, my favorite Rumi translator. It's called Out Beyond the Ideas of Right Doing and Wrongdoing. There is a field. Deepak Chopra calls it the field of pure potentiality. The field of pure potentiality. Out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. Out beyond the polarity, the duality of the relative realm in which we live, there is a field where all things are possible. A stillness, a spaciousness, a consciousness, an awareness, the source, the ground of all being from which all things arise and all things go back to. And when they rise up in this relative realm in which we live and move and have our physical, mental, and emotional beings, there is duality. You know, in the book of Genesis, in the Hebrew scriptures, it says when Adam and Eve ate the apple, their eyes were opened. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it represents the state that we find ourselves in when we feel disconnected from God. Because after that, what happened? They got kicked out. They started naming things good and bad. They even looked at themselves and thought that they were bad. And this is a state that we can find ourselves in when we feel or believe that we're separate from God, or that somehow we're not worthy of being in God's presence or being an expression of God. Because that's what I really want to get to today, is that we are that field in expression, and we express in ways that appear to be either or. But in reality, it's both and. Is my infinity up there? Put my infinity up, please. This is your infinity symbol too. So this is what Rumi is referencing when he's talking about out beyond the ideas of right doing and wrongdoing. Like, what's beyond that? What's behind that? Remember, when we use the word metaphysical, it means beyond the physical. What is it that's beyond the physical? What is it that sources this experience of duality, this back and forth? You know, I love the stories of Jesus in the New Testament. I've been talking about this a lot here lately, when he's spending his last few hours with his friends, his disciples. They're eating together. He's washing their feet. I think there were women there too. They weren't sitting at a big table. They were sitting down on the floor probably and had bowls of food, or perhaps even leaves with food on it. They were probably eating with their hands or with bread, right? And they were probably dark-skinned people. And he's sharing with them teachings. This is the real stuff. This is the meat right here. This is what I want you to know, because I'm going to be gone in just a little while, and I want you to get the real thing. So one of my favorite parts of it's the book of John, chapter 16. So he's telling them that people are going to be trying to kill them, that you better be careful out in the world. It's a dangerous place. People know that you've been hanging around with me. They're about to get rid of me. They're probably going to be coming after you pretty soon. But I have told you these things so that in me you could have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. Take heart. because I have overcome the world. The word courage has its root of the meaning of heart. So take heart, be full of courage, be confident, be in the world but don't be of it. Take heart because I have overcome the world. So the world is full of what seem to be polar opposites. And I know that we can see that a lot in what's going on in our world today. All we have to do is turn on the television or go online, and we see a lot of either or, this or that. But the law of polarity says that all things that are opposite are actually the same. They're differing degrees. And a lot of times when we think about the differing degrees of, let's just say, hot and cold, let's make it generic. We think of like we're on a scale from either it's like really hot over here or really cold over here, and depending on if the sun is out and there's clouds in the sky or it's raining, where we are on this spectrum. But I like to think of it as a loop, that you're somewhere on the loop of this energy field that is the same thing no matter where you are on the loop. Have you ever loved somebody so much that you hated them? No, come on, let's be real a little bit. Oh, I love you so much. You're the answer to my every prayer. I've been looking for you. I've been searching for you all my life. And then the first time they act out and don't do what you want them to do, if you don't straighten up, fly right, and meet all my needs like you're supposed to, I'm going to be mad at you until you do. It's the same energy. You're just in a different place. You know, the Course in Miracles says there's really only one experience that we have in the relative realm, and that's love and fear. But it's not like you're either all love or all fear. It's the same energy because it all comes from the same source. It all goes back to the same source. Where are you on the loop? Where are you on the loop? You know, it helps me to think about this when there's somebody in my life that is not behaving the way that I think they should, whether they're in my personal circle or whether I see them on the news. You're not acting the way I think you should. You're not doing, because I put them over here as separate from myself. I put myself on one pole and them on the other pole. We're on the same wavelength. It's the same frequency. But what is beyond that? Because we can get trapped in there if we think that's all that there is. You know, sometimes we get trapped on one side. We get out of the flow. We get stuck. It may be because of what somebody has told us about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves. It all comes back to us, folks. Everything out there is a mirror of what's going on in here. You know, the people that I have the most problem with in my life are showing me what needs to be healed and released within me. I know this. I don't like it. It's not fun. But guess what? Life isn't here to make you comfortable. And life isn't fair. Has anybody ever seen that movie, The Labyrinth, with David Bowie and the little girl whose little brother gets kidnapped by David Bowie, the Goblin King, and she's trying to find her little brother, and she keeps saying, it's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. And one day she has a realization, an aha moment. Life isn't fair. That's just the way it is, and it's not personal. Some days you're over here, some days you're over here. Some days life is great, some days not so great. It's the same energy. Sometimes my health is perfect and I feel great and I'm full of energy, and sometimes I just want to go to bed. Sometimes I just need to lay down for a little bit. But it's all life. See, in God, Reverend Sean, if you saw his talk, Sean Moninger, when he was here a few weeks ago, reminded us that God is absolute good with no opposite. God is absolute good with no opposite. So if God is life, that means there's no opposite to life. There is no death. That's what Jesus proved in his resurrection. I said this at Easter. He didn't make a sacrifice. He made a demonstration. He manifested life. So this energy that is life flows around these two polarities. And sometimes we're over here and sometimes we're over here, but it's all life. The source, the idea in back of it is life. It's the same way with love. I just used that example. Either you're just like loving life, loving yourself, everything's going great, or you're fearful and you're anxious. But there is a love that is in back of that energy that has no opposite. It's absolute love. It's unconditional love. It's unending love. It's unlimited love. And we have access to that. As powerful, creative, spiritual beings, we can tap into that source that is behind the polarities. Jesus talked about this in the Sermon on the Mount when he said, love your enemies. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be children of your Father in heaven. He's showing you how to be an expression of God. Love your enemy, pray for those who persecute you, because your Father in heaven causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good. Now he's talking about the sun in the sky. Your Father in heaven causes the sun to rise on the good and the evil. He sends his rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? The tax collectors in his day were despised because they were Jewish people who worked for the Roman government collecting taxes from the Jewish people, and they didn't get paid. They were expected to skim off the top. So if they would go to you and you owe $10 in tax, they'd ask for 15 and keep the extra 5. And people despised them. Yet Matthew, one of Jesus' closest disciples, was a tax collector. He says, don't even tax collectors, aren't they nice to people when they're sticking their hand in their pocket? And if you greet only your own people, what are you doing more than others? Don't even the publicans do that? The Roman citizens? Be perfect, therefore, as your heavenly Father is perfect. So let's break this down a little bit. First, he talks about the sun, the source that shines without favor on everybody, the good and the evil. The source in back of that radiates out on everything. God's grace is fully available to all of us all the time. Are we accepting it? Can we be that? Can we step back beyond the polarity and let our light shine? Just be the source that we are. The rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous. It doesn't ask anybody if it's worthy. It doesn't ask anybody if it's good, if you've been doing what you're supposed to do. It just falls. Yes? If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? If things were comfortable for me all the time, I wouldn't do any spiritual work. Hello? Yeah, I bet I'm not the only one in this room. You know, when I'm loving God and close to God the most, it's when the stuff is really hitting the fan. Come on, God, help me out here. Let me work some principle here. Let me get myself out of this. It's kind of the same way I used to be when I was like, if you'll just get me out of this one, I promise I'll never do it again. Where's my journal? Let me get my affirmation deck out here. I'm kind of in a mess, right? You know? Don't even the publicans do that? Like, come on now, Dale, get with the program here. So a lot of times, if everything is going our way, we're not going to do anything to grow, expand. It's when things are uncomfortable. It's when there's a rock under our saddle. And we're like, what's going on? There's a little something that's not right here. Let me do my work around this. Let me go into prayer. Let me meditate every day. Let me do my forgiveness work, right? Because life isn't here to make us comfortable. Like, all of this duality, this polarity, is temporary. So you can get your life lined up just like you want it to be, and then one of your ducks is going to move, and you're going to be upset again if all of your wagers are on this roll of the dice right here. So we can learn to get in here and play with this, but can we identify ourselves as the source behind the duality? Is this making sense to anybody? Let me give you an example. So I had my dream job one time where I got to work doing retreats. Every weekend I got to play music. I got to do workshops. I was planning retreats almost every weekend. I worked this job for, I don't know, a year and a half. Well, it was longer than that. A couple years anyways. So I had started out at like 10 hours a week. Contract employee, so I had to do a lot of hustling to make up the extra money that I needed. And sometimes I was doing a lot of prosperity affirmations and a lot of tithing, a lot of giving away money. I tithe better when I'm kind of broke. I have a friend that said, whenever I'm out of money, I just go get a bunch of $1 bills, start handing them out to everybody I see, right? So I'm working this job. It's my dream job. I finally worked up after a couple of years from being part-time contract employee to full-time benefit salary. I was it. This is my dream. I've worked for this all my life. Look at me. I am so awesome. Like, don't get attached, folks, to praise or blame. Polarity. Don't get stuck on one side or the other, because usually all the praise and blame is in here, right? And then when people say things to me, I put on them what I'm thinking about myself. Hello? Yes? So praise and blame. Well, I'm praising myself I've worked for this a long time. Look at how successful I am. I'm getting to do all these cool things. And then one day, the vice president calls all of the team into a meeting. He's a new guy. They brought him in, I realized later, to cut some heads. And so he's going, we're way over budget. I love each and every one of you. But there are people sitting around this table who are not going to be here in a couple of months. And I'm just telling you, get ready. Because we're just going to have to make some changes, save a little money. And I was like, I feel so sorry for those people. Because it's sure not going to be me. I'm important. Like, they couldn't do this without me. Like, don't ever go there, folks. So a couple of months later, I show up on Monday morning. HR wants to see you and Jill. So they trotted us down there to the HR office, and she was not working her unity principles that day. There'll be boxes for you to pack up your stuff. Please be out in the next hour. What? I gave my heart and soul to this place, and man, I started crying. I was slanging snot and squalling like a mashed cat. It was embarrassing. It was pitiful. I was like, oh. I can't believe it. I can't believe this is happening. So I went to my friend, Reverend Carla. I went to her house, and she was trying to get ready for something, and I just busted. They fired me. I can't believe it. Just sit over there. I'm busy. Right. So I'm sitting in the hallway, and I'm just like this, and I'm just crying and crying and crying. And so the guy that let us go, the vice president, said, through the HR person, like, Phil wants to talk to you, please go by and see him sometime today. And I'm thinking, he fired me. Why would I want to go talk to him? So I'm sitting there in a chair in Carla's house, just holding my head and just crying. And it was like the clearest bell, the clearest aha moment of clarity I've ever had, where I just realized I have been here before in this place where it sucks, and I don't like being here, and I don't want to be stuck here. And if what they're teaching me is true, what I'm practicing is true, I don't have to stay here, because I have the ability, the power, the superpower to rise above this, to move back beyond the polarity of I'm great, I'm awful, I'm worthy of this, I'm unworthy of this, right? So I stood up out of the chair, and I felt a shift in consciousness, and I said, I'm going to see Phil. And so I went across the street, actually, and I was talking to Phil, and he said to me, I knew that if you came over here and talked to me, that you were ready for ministry. I know, right? I was like, wow, what is happening? This is amazing. And so they hired me to be a contract musician at the retreats from then on. So, I didn't have my great and powerful job, but I still had some work with them. And I remember the very first retreat that I did after that experience, I walked in, everything was set up, there was my keyboard, there was the band, all I had to do was sit down and play. And I thought, this is kind of cool, because usually to get to this point, I have worked my behind off for a whole week to get everything set up, and now all I got to do is waltz in and do my job and leave. Yeah. So I didn't get stuck there. I moved back behind the polarity. So can you think of situations in your life where it would be helpful to rise up in consciousness and to realize, to see with your real eyes the magnificence of what you are? Because see, here's the thing. This source that is in back of the duality of the relative realm is what you are. If God is a principle that works the same for everybody, no matter who you are, the sun shines on the good and the evil, the rain falls on the just and the unjust, the righteous and the unrighteous, you are that principle. So can you be the love without opposite? Can you be the principle that works perfectly for the highest good for everybody, for each of us and everybody? Can you be the peace that doesn't have chaos in it, that doesn't have an opposite? See, there isn't a devil. If God is everything that there is, how could there be an opposite? If God is everywhere present all the time, and everything is a manifestation of God, how can there be an adversary or something against that? Where would it be? In here. We're the devil. I told one of my teachers one time when I first got a new thought, I said, I don't know. The way I grew up, this sounds like blasphemy to me. I think this is the devil. And my teacher said, I am the devil. What? Woo, Lord. But what he was trying to show me is that we are that. Like if we quit doing that polarity stuff, then it quits happening. If we quit fighting each other, then there isn't any fighting. God, the absolute good that has no opposite, maintains and sustains everything that is good, everything that is true, everything that is perfect. When Jesus said, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect, the word is more correctly translated whole or complete. The Greek word that he's using there, and it references, he's referencing a verse in Leviticus that says, God is speaking in Leviticus and says, I want you to be holy like I am holy. Like you can be holy like I am, God is. This is from Leviticus. There's actually some good stuff in there. Look it up, right? 1 Peter chapter 16, Peter says the same thing. Be ye holy as your Father in heaven is holy. Be holy as God is holy. If you're everything that God is holy and so are you. So can you be holy? Can you be complete? That word for complete and perfect means something that is finished, like a flower that's bloomed, or an ear of corn that is ready to be plucked from the stalk, a ripe piece of fruit that is ready to eat. That's what that word means right there. Be like that. And all you have to do is be that, because you already are that. I'm holy. You're holy, be that, and then your sun shines on all of the opposites, of all of the duality. Then your rain, not the kind of rain that makes you want to go inside, but the rain that makes the flowers grow and gives the animals something to drink. You're that rain, and you're showering that on every person and every situation in your entire life. Just be the truth that you are. Be the sun. Be the rain. Be the source. Be the principle. It's what you are already. You don't have to try to get to that. You don't have to go through stages of enlightenment in order to reach some pinnacle. The whole point of awareness is that it's right here. We don't have to go anywhere to get it. Jesus said it a number of ways. It's spread out upon the earth, and you don't even see it. It's right here inside of you. So let it out. You can do it. Tell somebody, you can do it. I don't believe you. I can do it. Let's say that. Oh, yeah, now we're talking.